Hi, my name is John Deckert. If you don't know me, let me introduce myself. I already said my name, John Deckert. I'm a freelance videographer, photographer, and video editor, and I live in Northwest Florida. And I've been considering for a while now making the big move to a big city, and I happen to know a number of people that live in Los Angeles now, and one of them happens to be the man I'm speaking with right now, or that
That's
I'm
me.
about to. It is the guy that you hear the voice of, Will Leone. He's an actor. Give him a hand, everybody.
Yay! Yay me! Actors, like we don't need enough positive
Right.
reinforcement anyway.
Right. You gotta have some motivation, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
motivate, motivate.
So,
What's
Will,
going
I
on, man?
mentioned that you're an actor.
Yes, yes,
What
sir, I am.
can you tell us about yourself?
About myself. Well,
Yes.
I'm not just an actor. As you are multifaceted, I also write. I have produced a little, and I'm dabbling in editing, in video editing. I have an earlier background in DJing where I learned audio editing, which made it pretty easy to make the jump into video editing. So I'm learning at that as well, and I'm still just acting and writing. Written a couple of shorts. We haven't produced them yet, but me and my wife, we wrote and produced three Doritos commercials for the spec thing, Doritos spec commercials back in 2012. Yeah, they didn't win, but they got a lot of views.
Yeah, I remember those. Those are pretty good.
Well, thank you.
Now, oh yeah. Well, let's go into your background a little bit. You mentioned DJing and that you are multifaceted. Let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
a long time ago, 1973. I don't remember much for like the first 5 or 6 years because I was really young. I
Yeah.
just maybe I might have blocked out all the cartoons that I watched and stuff. But after six, that's when I remember those cartoons and those video games because I got Atari right around then. So that was a fun time. So, but
The synapses started firing and you came online.
yes, right when I got War and the generic Centipede and Pac-Man back in the day, the original
Were you
Pac-Man.
very disappointed with Pac-Man or just a little bit disappointed?
Well, that was the only thing that I knew. So I was mildly
True.
disappointed. Well, I couldn't say I was mildly disappointed because it was all I knew, and at the time it was great for a 6 and 7 year old. So
True. With your limited bit of knowledge.
yeah,
Yes,
it,
yes, yes.
it beat playing with the rocks and sticks that I had growing up with in Arizona, born and raised Phoenix, Arizona.
Thank
So
you for getting me back on track because I would have continued to go off on the rabbit trail. Yes, Arizona. Is that where you grew up, good sir?
yes, born and raised my entire life in Phoenix, Arizona. Um, Geez, I don't think I really ever left the state for anything. I spent a week in Pennsylvania when I was like 14, and other than that, maybe a day or two trip to, I think it was just to California here or something, Magic Mountain, and then back home. And that was pretty much about it before actually moving out here. But growing up out there, again, I DJ'd for 20 something years, which and with that, being up on stage, I mean, acting wasn't my original goal in life, but performing, I guess, would have been what I knew was inside me, being that I was DJing, and then aside from just playing music, 'cause I didn't want to do just playing music because you can hear that on the radio, and I got bored with DJs that just played music like it was on the radio. So I began to put on a different kind of show, interact with the crowd, bring gifts to throw out to them, bring people up on stage, have a little contest and stuff like that. Basically, have a personality to go along with, playing music and stuff like that, and that was fun. So if anyone's in Arizona that grew up around that time, if you partied at Paraiso or Club 602, Tuli's, lots of house parties over in West Phoenix and stuff like that, and you were dancing to DJ Chili, who played a lot of Latin house and didn't speak a word of Spanish, that was me.
So,
That was
yes,
fun.
if anybody
Fun, fun,
remembers
fun.
that, maybe look Will up. Maybe there'll be a revival at some point.
I don't know. I'm still friends with a lot of my DJ friends, and especially on Facebook. And a lot of the party kids from back then have found me on Facebook as well too. But they ask, "Are you DJ Chili from Phoenix?" Yeah, but I don't use that name anymore. So I'd stopped DJing probably a good 5 or 6 years before I got into acting.
And so, what caused that transition to be like, okay, gonna put this down for a little bit and put on that much more of a show?
Well, at the time I was working at a grocery warehouse out in Goodyear. Still lived in Phoenix, but went out to Goodyear to go work out there. And just one day I was like, you know what, I want to get into acting. So I went home and Googled for like 3 days how to get into acting. Where to start, especially in Arizona. And at the time, the very beginning place before all was out there was Craigslist. Of all things, there were lots of job postings on Craigslist, which was before Craigslist merged their job postings with their adult stuff, and then the majority of the legitimate film stuff on there went away. So,
Mm-hmm.
unless you wanted to do adult films, which I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah. Well,
And
thank you for
then
clarifying on that because I was wondering that.
about what happened.
Yeah, because the headline sounds great, make $1,000 to $5,000 a day.
Yeah,
But then you look in it, and I was like, yeah, you're a creeper. I
yeah.
don't
I
want
don't,
to
I
do
don't have those
this.
abs and stuff.
And
Well,
so
let
you
me wear
got
a
on
mask.
Craigslist, right? And at this point, there were legitimate stuff, and so
Yeah. So from
um,
from
go
then,
ahead.
basically I found out it was the first thing I actually went on was to be an extra for a film called at the time it was called Fable, and then later on it changed to Rag King's Opus, and I think now it's still back to Fable, uh, which was quite a while ago. So I went there to be an extra in the background, and while waiting on set, I just mixed and mingled and chatted with folks, other actors that were there, and other filmmakers, trying to find out more information on where to find more auditions, where to go for stuff, and from that, the communication with everyone. I didn't know who the director was, and majority of the time, she was sitting right behind me. She came up to me before I even got a chance to film anything and asked me if I actually wanted a speaking part in her film, and that was my first thing going to be an extra. And she gave me a speaking part on her film. Said they were going to get ready to shoot it in a couple hours, handed me the script, and I had 2 pages to learn in 2 hours. Which I
What was
did.
going through your head with that?
At first, I was like, "Whoa, yes!" I was like, "This is crazy." First thing just going to be an extra, and then was given a speaking part.
Mm-hmm.
It was I felt weird. I mean, I didn't know anything about the story, about what was going on, and all that was given was the 4 pages they were getting ready to shoot, which 3 of them had lines for me, and basically it was angry crowd member. I guess I had the great look of an angry crowd person.
Right, that's the first thing that I see.
So,
Yes, angry crowd member.
but I was able
Uh,
to pull it off, especially in they're like, wow, you were off book on those 2 pages and or 3 pages in under 2 hours. So
yeah,
I was
I mean,
surprised
my
by that.
first question from that is, had you had to do any kind of memorization or anything like that beforehand, or were you sweating that a little bit?
Not really. I was worried about getting. Um, I mean, I hadn't had any acting classes. Nothing. I did a play in the third grade, but I don't remember much about that. It was the Nutcracker. That's all I remember. And
It's a
so the
classic. That's about all that needs to really be said.
so other than being told I'm an angry crowd member, we're upset, and I'm yelling at the mayor of whatever town that we're living in. I'm like, all right, I'm angry. That's all the motivation that you really need for me to yell at somebody.
Sure.
I got that. I work in a warehouse. I got that. so so that happened. Learning the lines. I've being from DJing from years and years and years before that, memorizing lyrics and stuff like that, and beat counts and stuff like that. that stayed with me. So being able to remember stuff quickly wasn't really that hard for me.
Hmm. So that was something that taught you to think on your feet and
Oh yeah.
match
I
things
mean,
up that don't necessarily seem like they would.
oh yeah. I was doing mashups before people had computers to actually digitally make mashups. So
Pioneer.
yeah, I didn't get to
Very
record
nice.
many of them.
Oh.
But, yeah, but it happens.
So you had, your first gig, you get, a nice promotion right off the bat. Where did it go from there?
From there, again, I took the information that I got from the other people about other websites to find out where to find auditions. Um, and so then I just hit them all up. I started looking into any acting classes that would let you audit a class to come in and check it out to see if it was something that you could learn from. Um, Me going through high school and stuff like that, I didn't really learn a whole lot from just sitting in class listening to the teacher. You know, I didn't learn that way. So I figured out later on I learned differently than that. So to be able to go sit in a class, and if I couldn't get up and just interact with what was going on right there, it didn't do much for me. So like the first couple of things that I audited, they didn't want me to do any of that at all. So I'm like, this is not the class for me. I'm not going to learn anything here. And
Hmm.
then I was, after so many months of trying that and getting nowhere, I enrolled in GCC, just an acting class at GCC, Glendale Community College. And I figured, if anything, that's just one thing to put on the resume, and then I'll go from there. And then halfway through
Hmm.
the class, the teacher was like, everything that I'm teaching, you're already doing. So she's like, I don't feel like
Wow.
I'm teaching you anything, because you're naturally already understanding what you're supposed to be doing for the scenes and stuff that I'm giving you. So that felt great to hear. But at the same time, I was like, well, I want to learn. How
Yeah.
can I learn more? I want to be taught. I want to grow. I want to learn, not just, oh yeah, you're doing great, and leave it at that. So
Yeah. Ends up kind of making you feel like, okay, well then, how do I do better?
can I have my money back then?
Yeah.
So, but whatever. It was there, and then from there it just went on. I just started. Actually, the first thing I actually auditioned for um, was for a party MC in a short film, which they called me the next day and they're like, "Yeah, we loved you. You came out like you're an actual DJ hosting a party."
Little
Well,
did
that's what
they
I
know.
did. That's what I did. So
Come to think of it, I did a little, method, preparation.
yeah, I was method for 20 years before that,
Yeah.
and didn't know. So, but and then just from there, just kept rolling. I mean, I just jumped in um, student films, short films, almost anything that I could, just kind of get into to learn and grow. Because I learned more by actually getting in and doing and interacting with people than just sitting in a class listening to a lecture and stuff like that. So I was learning more actually being on sets and in front of the camera, and working with other talented people, and then being able to pull off them and pull more out of myself for things.
Well, I'm
Just
glad that you say that kind of thing because I think that that's one of the things that, me getting on my soapbox here for a second, that not enough people grasp before they really should. That theory only gets
yeah,
you so far. You think that, learning in a classroom setting will do it, and you hope that it will, but the reality of the situation of it is actually doing it and being in it is
yeah,
what really ends up making the difference.
yeah. Because even from after moving here, and you see so many people that are on shows, that are on TV, and have that are doing all this work, but they have no training and or have no talent, but
Yeah.
are still there doing stuff, and personality and I hate to say it, nepotism, but it's there was a saying that someone had said a while ago. It's not who you know, or it's not like not what you know, it's who you know. But for the
Sure.
entertainment business, it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Mm.
Because I've gotten calls from people out of the blue. There was a, hey, I'm shooting the film. This part we hadn't cast it, and I would love for you to do it if possible. Just stuff that would just kind of come out of nowhere, and those were great. Especially when someone would call me up and be like, hey, I wrote this, and while I wrote it, I was thinking of you. Do you want to do this? Then they send me a copy of it, and I'm like, hell yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that sounds like one of those dream kind of things that you just wish happened all the time, right?
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, most of them were, either short films or like small stuff that wasn't paid or didn't pay a lot, but it was still a fun project and something that I could really be like, yeah, this is something I want to do. There
Hmm.
was a couple of things that I got cast for that after I got the whole entire script, I was like, I'm not available. I'm
That's the
gonna
only
be
way
out
to
of
do
town
it,
that
right?
week.
Like, oh, suddenly, oh, my grandma died. I gotta go out of town. I don't know when I'm gonna be back.
So it's
I feel really bad. I'm sorry. Oh,
yeah,
is
that's
that really the only thing you can really do in that kind of situation that you find?
yeah. Well, I find it that I don't really want to be like, yeah, your project sucks and I don't want to get involved with it. You know, it's gonna, if they want to get it done, it's gonna get done.
Hmm.
But and the very least that I could do on my end for me, I mean, yeah, you could be honest and be like, yeah, this isn't something. Well, actually, there were a couple of things where I did come out and say this isn't something I want to get involved with.
Sure.
But early on there was a, I don't know, it was some religious thing, and I was like, I I didn't know that this is what it was going into it,
Hmm.
so I was like, I can't do this. And the other stuff was all this reality TV. So after they told us it was reality TV, I was like, yeah, well, thank you, but I don't really want to do that. Thank you for having me out here, but I don't want to waste your time going in and auditioning and reading for you, knowing that if I do get it, then I'm going to tell you no anyway. So,
Right. Well, now we've gotten into what you don't like. What do you like?
oh, I love being around creative people. I love it. I feed off it. That's the energy, that's the mojo that kind of keeps stuff going and keeps the synapses firing, the brain going, and the creative juices flowing. I love that. I love creating and doing. I love working. I love working.
Hmm.
And if I can work and get behind something that I really enjoy, all the more better. All the more better. I'm naturally kind of a comedic, funny person
Hmm.
normally, even though I can have the angry face, which is a lot of the roles I get are angry cop or
I
drug
think it's the
dealer or
eyebrows.
bouncer, stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. And the hairdo,
I think it might be the eyebrows.
and the hairdo. I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
those, but I'm a huge goofball. I'm a complete idiot. So I love to have fun and goof off. Um, so I love doing comedies, but I want to push myself to do stuff that's going to require more from me than just cracking a joke or being someone's straight man and being funny. Don't get me wrong, I love comedy, but I want to push myself to grow more, to do more.
Hmm.
So
So I guess the big question is, have you found or what steps are you taking to do that? Like, what seems to be the best way to go about that?
do finding harder stuff for me to play.
Well, I
Um,
guess not get stuck in, one particular kind of
Typecast.
role. Yeah, yeah.
Um, for the most part, it's kind of unavoidable to get typecast. Um, but you don't always have to accept those jobs.
Hmm.
I mean, I mean, I, I submit to stuff across the board. Whether it's comedy or something where even some of the stuff that even doesn't specifically fit the way I look that they're asking for, I'll even message them and be like, hey, if the person doesn't have to look like this, I would like to submit myself, to see if if you guys wouldn't mind taking a different direction, if you feel that I could do that part, because
Mhm.
you never know. Sometimes they're like, you know what, the character doesn't have to be that. We read it and we just automatically thought this way, but they don't have to be so. And I have booked a couple of roles off something like that where like we didn't even think of it as being a big bald black guy or a
Right.
big bald Hispanic looking guy, So,
Well,
but
I'm glad that you say that because I find that to be a difficult thing for me. That I,
being a big bald black guy.
oh, yes, yes, obviously by the hair and
You got to.
the pigment. No, no. Getting stuck in, well, they're looking for this. They're looking for them to have these skills,
Yeah.
and you're you're showing the example that you don't necessarily have to do that. You can show them that they might not be right, that they
Yeah.
might think that they know what they want, but you're still giving them the invitation that, hey, what about this?
Yeah. I mean, you're at least putting it out there. Not necessarily saying you're wrong. This is what the person should be. But if the person, if it's if it doesn't have to be this specific qualities that you're looking for, you know, could I try out for it? And if not,
Mm-hmm.
then cool. Thank you anyway. You know.
So, have you always had that kind of mentality that, hey, what about me? Or is that something that has kind of arisen because, well, want to work?
A little bit of both. More so just the wanting to work and try new things.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see a breakdown for something that I want to get involved in, that's not necessarily something that I'm used to, or something that I've done before, and I want to push myself to try something like that, then yeah, I'll go out there and do that. Um, Actually, one of our Facebook friends did a PSA a while ago, a couple of years ago, back in Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw it. I saw the request of like, hey, they're looking for a guy to play this type of role for this PSA, and I read it, and I was like, and I thought about it. I didn't answer right away because I'm like, I don't know if I want to be seen in that light. I was like, but one, it's for a very good cause, and two, it would be a stretch for me to push myself to do that, and it was for a child molester for
Mm.
this PSA.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I just kind of left it there for a couple hours, and then I talked to the wife about it, and I was like, it's for a good cause to help prevent child abuse and stuff like that. Um, so then I messaged them. There was a friends of ours, so I messaged them and I'm like, hey, I'm kind of interested in this, but I'd like to talk to you guys more about it first before anything, if you're interested in me doing it at all. And then they contacted me and we talked for about an hour or so about it. And then eventually I was like, you know what, it's really for a good cause, and it's not really gonna. It's they're not trying to show the actual event and stuff like that. So I was like, fine, and I ended up doing it, and it worked out really well for him. And the
And
little
so,
kid was awesome. He
oh,
was great.
really? Nice.
Yeah,
So that's a good example of something that you don't necessarily know if you can do, and through getting more information about it, talking about it, reflecting on it,
yeah,
showing that, getting the whole story, not assuming, that then it sounds like it was something that you were ultimately really glad you did.
yeah, yeah. It was really nice. The guy that produced it and wrote it, it was his story as a kid, which I found out once we were there and started doing stuff, and then it felt a little awkward for a second. I'm like, wow, this was your story.
Yeah.
Crap. But then he and I talked for a bit, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't specifically want to ask you, you know, where's my character coming from and stuff like this, to bring that up from him and anything. But he was very forthcoming and was like, you know, thank you for doing this, thank you for taking part. I know it wasn't easy for you to even make this kind of decision to be seen like this. And then
You can't get much more vulnerable than that.
yeah, yeah. So and it was crazy to even go there in my head to sit next to this little kid, you know, and then have to imagine what I just did to him, you
Yeah.
know, kind of thing, and then have and then once they yell cut, know that the guy that this did happen to was standing right there, you know. So
Yeah. Might have
you know,
been partially reliving it a little bit.
yeah, but you know, and I don't know, again, the kid he was awesome. After we got done shooting, um, I just kind of walked off to the corner because I'm like I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable because I hadn't really met him before that. And then his mom had talked to him about it and everything, and let him know that it's just acting, it's just playing, you know, kind of whatever
Mhm.
thing. And then he walked up to me and like stood next to me and looked at me, and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you're a very bad man. To which I was like, oh man. And he's like, I'm just kidding. And he gave me a big old hug. And I was
Oh wow.
this kid is awesome.
Yeah, no
You
kidding.
know, so then he just laughed about it. His mom was like, he wanted to do that for you. I was like, this kid is great. So
So it sounds like you had some good experiences while you were in Arizona
mhm.
before you decided to move. What made you end up making that decision to
Ultimately, it
move?
was just kind of the next step. You know,
Hmm.
there wasn't a lot of work coming into Arizona to like maintain acting as a career, you
Hmm.
know, in Arizona. So there stuff just wasn't coming. You know, we lost the film tax credit. You know, we fought to get that back for years and years and years, trying to get it back in, so Hollywood productions would come in and bring all their money with them to Arizona. You know, but for some reason, our government felt it was better to not have all that money and not give all those people jobs, you know, or
Hmm.
create more jobs from the film community come in and do that. And I guess they're still doing it because I think they're still fighting trying to get the tax credit back. So, well, what can you do but go to where the jobs are? So we ended up moving out here 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago.
um, what may was it just because LA? Well, what was the reason for LA? Because nowadays there's because of these tax credits, there's several
Yeah.
places now that seem to be getting a fair amount of work.
Well, yeah. The was it New Mexico, Texas,
Hmm.
uh, Canada, a lot of stuff right outside of Arizona.
Yeah.
um, Basically, the majority of even the non-specific Hollywood stuff is still here. You know,
Hmm.
the TV shows, um, a lot of there's still lots of independent stuff being shot out here, and ultimately, for my grand scheme of things, I would love to be able to write and work on my own sitcom out here, or at the
Hmm.
very least, be part of a sitcom, which they shoot here. You know,
Right.
so
And
there's
that's kind of one of the things that I've been hearing that if you want to create content, that it seems like LA is the place.
oh yeah, to get your butt out here and network and network and network and
Hmm.
get your face and work out there so everyone can see it.
Now, I want to, before we move forward, I want to backtrack a little bit
Mhm.
because it's something that you said that has stayed in the back of my mind. And if I don't, I think I may go a little crazy.
Being the bald
Um,
black man thing, isn't
exactly.
it?
Exactly. Read me to a T. So, um, you mentioned the love of working with creative people and working and just there's nothing better and I'd agree with that. What ways have you taken and when you made the move to LA to surround yourself with that kind of thing?
Mm. Um, One of the first things that I did was I got involved with a casting studio that's out here. A guy that I had worked with in Arizona, who's actually he's from Michigan but lives out here in LA. Once I moved out here, he told me, "Hey, go intern at this casting studio. You know, one, you'll get a free account so you can submit to projects there, and two, you will smoosh with all the casting directors that come in to hold their sessions. So right off the bat, you're being put in direct contact with the casting directors that are coming in to use the facility. So we were setting them up in their rooms, getting them cameras. If they needed us to come in and be a reader for them or work camera, they were asking us to do that. So basically, I was there, and I interned there for a year, and then became a manager there afterwards. It's at Kaz Studios, CAZT. If any of you guys are out there, Kaz Studios
Hmm.
over on Formosa in West Hollywood.
If you didn't have a pen and paper, you know, this will be on YouTube, so you can rewind that.
Yeah, there's them some cool peeps over there. Go check them out. Um, and just from being there, setting casting directors up and chatting with them and smoozing with them, within my first 3 months of being there, I had booked 2 commercials just from smoozing with the casting directors. I wasn't scheduled to audition for them. It was just being in there, talking with them, chatting them up, and then they started having their sessions and came out 2 hours later and asked me to come in and read because they liked how I was just natural and fun with them. And that's how I read for them and booked a commercial. And a couple weeks later, same thing happened with a different casting director. So a lot of times, just being there, putting yourself in their way. When they walk in the door, they have to come talk to me so they can get to their room. So again, that just gives me the opportunity to network, to build relationships with who's there. You can ask them, hey, what's your project about? What kind of people are you casting today? You know, you don't necessarily have to ask them, can I audition for you? But you can still put your face in front of them and let them know, yeah, I'm an actor.
Nice. Now, we move forward a little bit. Just want to move back just a little bit and tell me what kind of situation you were in when you decided to move. Had you savings in place to stay, all that? What was the
Um,
situation there?
Before we moved, we kind of gave ourselves basically a year when we were living in Arizona. The wife said, all right, in a year we're moving to LA, so we're going to save up and find a place. And then being that we still lived in Arizona and it's kind of hard to, house hunt in a different state when you're not there, occasionally we would just take a weekend and just drive out here, stay in a hotel, and then look at pre-selected neighborhoods that we had Google searched and looked at different neighborhoods that had basically we were looking for better schools and stuff. Being that we have kids, we didn't want to live in Hollywood, but if we didn't have kids, that would probably be the better place to stay. It would be in Hollywood. Rent would be somewhat cheaper, but the neighborhoods would be a bit worse, and the schools there would really not be adequate for a lot of stuff. I mean, they're there, but you want more for your kids. So we looked at other outlying areas, um, Sherman Oaks, Culver City, just different spots that weren't directly in Hollywood but were still somewhat easily accessible. And within about, I don't know, it took a while because a lot of places we were looking for, they didn't have any. We were looking for a three-bedroom apartment, and there were not very many three-bedroom apartments that were available or going to be available anytime soon. And so we couldn't be like, all right, well, we're ready to move in next month. We're looking 6 months ahead from now, and they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to have anything. Um,
Mm.
and then of all places, we found one on Craigslist. They had just posted up, you know, here's what we have, but they didn't have any. They put the old pictures up on the people that lived here before, lived here for 27 years. That's a long time to stay in one place, and so all they had was old pictures from before they moved in, from way back then. So it was all old carpet, way old carpeting and stuff like that.
Was there
Um,
shag? Are you telling me there was shag?
nah, we didn't look at the carpet. We just saw that it was it just looked old. And when we called
Mm.
and asked about it, they were like, yeah, we don't have new ones yet because they were starting to renovate it, so they weren't going to take any pictures or post them until we're done renovating. We told them, like, look, we live in Phoenix. We can come out there in 2 days to have a look at the place, um, just to see what it looks like. And they're like, no, we have everything torn apart. We have all the carpets pulled up, the cabinets pulled out. Um, we're not ready to show it. And we're like, we don't care. We don't care what the inside looks like right now. If you're redoing it, we'll give you that. We want to look at the area, because it wasn't originally one of the areas that we were looking in, but it fell in one of the school districts that we were looking for. So we came out, looked at the area, then we looked at, where the apartment was and, the square footage and stuff of it. And like, yeah, when we got here, there was, no carpet. Everything was all gutted out of here. And we were like, we want it.
When you know, I guess.
Like, where do we sign? And they're like, hey, are you sure? I mean, we haven't done all this stuff. And like, we want it. We can move in June.
Now, you don't have to give us your address, but where did you end up deciding?
I'm in a small little offshoot of North Hollywood.
North Hollywood. Okay.
So
I've been
technically it's
hearing.
Valley Village, but
Okay.
those that don't know what Valley Village is, it's North Hollywood. So
Okay.
it used to be North Hollywood.
I've also heard Burbank can be good.
Yeah, Burbank, right down the street. There's a lot of studios out there too. Actually, there's studios everywhere. But once you get out here, you'll drive by so many things and not even know it's an actual studio until you get called to go in there someday. I thought this was a coffee shop. But, no, studio. But yeah, but Burbank's nice too. Burbank's
It's
nice.
actually a soundstage for a coffee shop. So you make the move. What are the first 6 months like? We
First
know
6 months?
in the third month or so, but I guess let's go back between day 1 and month 3.
All right, day 1 and month 3. The first half of that was boring. I was already set up with the sites to audition for. I hadn't yet got into the casting studio that I work for now. So I was submitting all over the place, submitting, but not hearing anything back. And that's like the first 2, maybe 3 weeks. I didn't hear anything back from anyone. To which I found out pretty quickly after that. Well, after those 2 weeks, I found out that I had my Arizona agent's contact information on there, not mine. So being all the stuff that would have been coming in, they were calling him, but he wasn't getting anything from it because he's out of state. Didn't refer it back to me. Not happy about that.
No. Sorry
So
to make you relive it.
so that got changed, and then shortly after that, that's when I started getting called out for auditions quite a bit. And one of the first things, it was a student film at that, but they were actually shooting on the lot at Universal, on the back lot, which, even just being on the lot, even though it's a student film, I wasn't getting paid for it or anything, but being on the lot, on the backstage at Universal was just like, this is incredible. I just got here, and here I am, at the very least for this part. So I was very grateful to have done that, where, again, I played a cop. Yeah, not so happy cop. But again, just being on there, and come to find out, one of the guys that DP'd it had left Arizona to come to school out here, and was going to that same school, and I had worked with him on a different project back in Arizona. So like as soon as I walked on set, he was like, "Will?" I was like, "Whoa." Not expected to get recognized by anybody for anything. But here I already know somebody. So that was fun.
And so you start getting gigs, starting with student films, then getting into commercials.
Commercials and some independent shorts and stuff that we're shooting out here.
Mm-hmm.
Those yeah. And it just starts and kind of keeps going. Just keep plugging away and networking, and Eventually, you start to see a lot of the again, like with Arizona, you start running into the same people everywhere. You can mix and match, 20 different crews, and there'll be, random people that are the same throughout. And so you start doing that out here, then, but it's a bigger, a bigger melting pot of just so many people out here. So there's a lot more people whose names to try to remember. So, and I'm better with faces than names. So.
That's my. I have that problem too. My advice, if you haven't already picked up on it, is get really good at saying, "Hey, how
Yeah.
are you doing?
That's my name too. What's up?
How have you been,
Hey,
man?"
what's my name again?
Right, right. I knew there was something about you. Um, was there, and if there was, what was it that was a turning point that you thought, okay, this is gonna work?
Hmm. It's just, I still haven't reached that point saying this is definitely going to work, but I'm nowhere near trying to give up on it anyway. So it's always a hustle. It's always a struggle. Um,
Hmm.
you don't. Well, for me, I don't see the, you know, oh, I booked a role in this film or I booked a role in this TV show. I'll never need to work again. I don't ever want to hit that point. I always want to keep working. I always want to keep, you know, chasing the next opportunity and the next job. So there's always that hey, it might not work looming back here, but I'm not paying attention to it and I'm still trying to move forward. Um, I feel I'm very lucky with all the stuff that I've been able to get and be a part of, and all the people that I've been able to work with so far. I mean, it's it's incredible. I love it. I there's no way to beat it. So, but just to keep moving on and do more, keep meeting more people, making more projects.
Would you mind gushing a little bit and telling me
Mission?
about favorite projects, people that you were really psyched, or after the fact you were like, wow, that was really great to work with them?
The first thing that really blew my mind was getting a call for a featured extra. Um, well, it's kind of it's an up and then it's a down, but uh, I got called saying the director handpicked 10 people to be featured extras in his film. And I was like, okay, great. And he's like, yeah, you submitted for the project. I think it was Score or Burn or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I submitted to 18 things yesterday. I'm not sure which one it was. And he's like, yeah, that's our code name for Iron Man 3. I was like, shut I was like, shut the f up. And he's like, no, I'm serious. I was like, oh, oh crap. He's like, don't worry, I get that all the time. So then I was like,
That's
oh
how
my
good the
god,
code name is, I guess.
oh my god. And he was like, can you get to Culver City within the next hour? And I'm like, I'm in North. Yes. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but yes, I'll run people off the road on the 405 to get over there. So basically, the wife had just gotten home and went to sleep. She had ended up working nights. I ran in here and woke her up and was like, I gotta go. So, can that's in the room. I gotta go. I just got called for this, and she was like, crap, get the hell out of here. So ran out there for a quick fitting. Um, of the 10 people that they called, 6 of them showed up, and then out of those 6, they chose 4 to actually come and shoot the very next day. Um, I was so just jazzed. I mean, it's freaking Iron Man 3. You wasn't even thinking about
Yeah.
it. I thought they were completely done with it, but they were shooting pickups and stuff, so and they had called us in for a scene. Ran down there, sat on set for 14 hours, then got in front of the camera for 5 minutes. Oh, actually, while we were all sitting there waiting, we saw one of the suits walk by. And so we all kind of looked and
Nice.
we're like, oh my goodness. And then he took the mask off and we're like, oh, that's just a stunt guy.
Where's Robert?
So we were like, oh, all right, whatever. But again, it was great. Even in then, they took us. That was supposed to be the featured extras. Put us off in this holding area, and they're like, "All right, you guys wait here, and we'll come get you." I stayed there all of 2 minutes before I ran around and just started talking with everyone on set. Yeah, it probably could have got me in trouble, but you know, I stayed out of the way, and I ended up at the prop department talking with all the prop guys. So and then me and both of them just started goofing off like crazy. And then when it came time for them to pull us for the scene, they pulled they pulled us four, and then asked one of them to go and sit back down. There was three guys and a girl, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't need the girl, just have her go sit back down."
Mm,
Um,
poor girl.
they pulled us up and they're like, "All right, here's what you're going to do. You know, so and so's going to say her lines, he's going to say his lines, and she's going to call you guys in, and then you're gonna tie up the robot's legs or the suit's legs." And we're like, "All right." And then so the prop guy came in and he's like, "All right, who wants to hold the big tow rope?" The whole time he's just staring directly at me and kind of leaning forward. "Who wants to hold the tow rope?" The other two guys are just like, "What does he mean?" And I'm like, "I get that. I'll hold it." And he's like, "Mm-hmm. You want to hold the tow rope."
I guess I do.
They handed me this big old heavy tow rope. So when they came walking in, they're like, "All right, you with the tow rope. You're gonna walk in first, walk in front of the camera, and be all this." And I'm like, "I'm gonna be in front of the camera?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're basically full face, leaning down, looking directly at camera, giving him the evil eye while I'm tying up his legs."
Nice.
So I'm like, "All right." Look over at the prop guys, and they're like,
Paid off
"I got you. I
talking to the
got you.
prop guys.
You guys are awesome." Again, they shot that for a couple times, 5 minutes, and then they were done with us. Sent us on our way, thanked us for our stuff, and then um, as they were taking a break and resetting up for the next thing, I went back up and they had Louis Esposito. He was directing those scenes. So I basically just went up to him and thanked him for having us out there as much as I could. There was tons of folks around us. I just basically said, "I want to thank you for having the opportunity to have us out here, and thank you." And he was like, "All right, okay, thanks." Went on my way, and then it was the impatient waiting for that to come out and keeping my mouth shut about what I was in and where I was,
Mm-hmm.
and non-disclosure agreements and all that, um, only to actually watch the film and have that half of the scene be cut out completely, and it's
Ah.
not even on the DVD.
Ah. Who edited that film?
I don't know. I was happy to be a part of it, but not happy to be cut out of it. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happened. It
It's a
happened.
great
So
story.
yeah, was a great, I guess, turning point. Hey, this is happening, and then have it like, "Oh, I have no proof it happened." So other than the paycheck, but it was still
Yeah.
nice.
Well, not to be a downer, but I will be a little bit of a downer.
Okay.
Um, well, potentially. You know, I would say that's probably up there on memorable stuff, but potentially bad. Any bad memorable experiences?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, next question.
Yes.
Do you mind talking about them?
There's quite a few. Um, the most nearest and more kind of affecting one is a film I just recently shot. I was lucky, it was a great experience to one to be booked on the project to begin with, and then to find out that we were shooting out of state for about a month. So they had they flew us out, put us up, and I'm like, wow, this is like my first on location, kind of
Mm-hmm.
deal. And so I was like, hey, this is great. Um, and then just slowly, it just started getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Just it was
Hmm.
not necessarily. We still made it fun anyway. We got the stuff we needed to get done. We got it done. It just became less fun for everyone involved as everything went on. The stuff was falling behind on production. Stuff was getting not communicated, you know, well enough to get stuff done effectively and properly. You know, so our 10 or 12 hour days were turning into 14, 15, 16 hour days, and you know, in a state that, you know, none of us are familiar with, in a place that's potentially pretty dangerous. I don't really want to say exactly where it was, but
Sure.
but it was, yeah. And then and then to top it all off, there was just issues once we were done with being compensated for the extra stuff that we had, actor wise, all those actors that were actually, I think a lot of the crew didn't get paid either. And we still talk with some of them, and the crew is like, we haven't seen or heard anything. So,
Mm.
and then for our actors, we kind of banded together. The ones that are still out here in LA, we kind of got together and we're like, hey, you haven't heard anything? You haven't heard anything? And they're like, no, no, we've been told this and we've been told that, but then we can't get a hold of this person. So we kind of banded together and we're like, all right, well, half of us haven't signed our release forms yet. So until this is taken care of, we're going to ask you not use our footage.
That seems like a pretty good. Yeah. And did that seem to work?
uh, the main person that was supposed to get it work, no, but
No.
other other I don't want to say producers, others involved in the film took it upon themselves to take care of us. So they came through on their end to take care of us, but not the main area of production that was supposed to.
Mm.
As far as we know, no one's been able to get a hold of them still
They
since
just dropped off the face of the earth, pretty much.
final. Well, there was. Oh, I'm working on another project for the next couple of weeks. After that, we'll have everything taken care of, and still nothing. And it's been over a good 2 months, but we're beyond that. So us actors still stay in contact with director, writer, and a lot of others still involved with it. So we're like, hey, we believe in this project, and this was a great film. It's a great thing to be a part of, and we want to see it come out. We don't want to hold stuff up, but we also don't want to be, felt like we're taken advantage of. And we know it's not you specifically, that it's this person specifically, but you kind of hired them. So it kind of comes back. So all the conversations or emails and stuff that we had sent to X person, we included everybody in. So there wasn't
Hmm.
so and so said this and so and so that. Everyone was on board with everything all across the board. Everyone
Yeah.
was kept in the loop, and then those actors, we just kind of stuck together, and we were like, no, sorry, if you guys can't track him down and whatever, then we'll see what we can do. But until then, and that sucked and was very unfortunate. But we still did what we had to do to come through that experience, and we still want to see this film and help produce it. Actually, one of the writers just messaged me the other day, and he was like, "Hey, brother, how you doing?" So,
So I could see that being a potentially just a really bad taste in, a lot of potentially less experienced or less mentally strong people. How do you keep that from, making you want to move forward? And if it did, how have you been able to get past that?
glad you brought that up. The One of my co-stars that was in there with me. It was his first feature film ever, ever. He just started acting in January, and then 3 months later got booked a co-starring role in this film. So that was his first thing. So he's like, I don't know how to handle this. How do you do this and how do you do that? And so basically, I'm like, well, I'm not a lawyer, but you know, let's read through your contract here and see what it says. And if it says this, 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 and this, this is what this means, and this is what this means. This is what you're able to do on this end, and this is what you're able to do on this end. And this is what they can do, and this is what you can't do. So when it came down to the aftermath part, um, he was definitely one of the ones that I was trying to keep in the loop because he was like, "Man, this is effed up. Is everything like this?" I'm like, "No, no, no. This is not the norm, for productions and films. So please don't let it give you a bad taste of the behind the scenes stuff of you know making a film, getting stuff done." So I admit he really wasn't happy about it. And he's a comedian, so normally he's always cracking jokes, and we still had fun on set. We made it fun even though it was some of the stuff was horrible, but it was fun. He was a great guy.
Nice. And so seems like the the big thing is making friends and working together, sticking together, and you know,
Yeah. Did you want his name? He's a comedian. So if you guys get a chance to go see him, J.C. Carias, go check him
yeah,
out.
yeah. He's probably touring right now, wouldn't you say?
He goes to Vegas a lot and does shows out there. He just
Well,
does a lot
say
of
his name
shows
one
out
more
there.
time, just in case.
It's
You know.
J.C. Carias. You should be able to find him under J.C. Stand Up somewhere on Twitter or Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to check him out myself. Not right now, but later.
Oh yeah, you're
Um,
in Florida. It's late for you over there.
it's just after midnight. I'm a night owl. I'm not being too loud, so
Ooh, and it's Friday night. Whoop whoop.
yeah, this is my Friday night. Okay, so you made the move.
Mhm.
Now there are some potentially myths, but potentially truths too. We will get. You will tell me right now what
Okay.
is what. Okay. Does everything cost more?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Specify.
Cost of living is higher, yes, but not everything is money. So
Not everything is money. No. Okay. Traffic is worse.
then Phoenix,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, traffic's horrible.
How do you deal?
But but when living in Phoenix, I spent about the same amount of time on the freeway getting to projects as I do here. It's just in
Hmm.
Arizona, a 40-minute drive on the freeway got you halfway across, three cities to get there. LA is
Hmm.
one big, huge city, so 40 minutes on a freeway and you've only gone 20 miles. But everything in Arizona was spread so far apart that it still took that long to get there anyway.
Hmm.
So I still spend the same amount of time on the freeways. I'm just going less distance.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that. People are jerks.
People are jerks everywhere.
Good answer.
Yeah, you got your good and bad people no matter where you go. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But generally good.
um, for the most part, yeah. Actually, when we first moved to our neighborhood, we weren't expecting so many nice people in our neighborhood. We when we first moved in, I mean, everyone walking up and down the street would say, "Hi, how you doing?" And I was not expecting that moving from Phoenix to LA. I thought everyone was just going to be, buttholes, but right
Hmm.
off the bat, they weren't. But then again, you know, time of day, specific location, circumstances are different everywhere. So occasionally you'll come out of the grocery store and there's a whole bunch of buttholes right there. For you to, you
You
know,
don't know where those buttholes came from, but there they are.
yeah, they just
Okay.
the
Um,
butthole popped off.
One more question regarding cost. Would you say does the money that you make end up evening out the cost of things, or is it more difficult as well?
Well, it's safe to say that we are on a budget here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, starting out, you're definitely going to have uh, either enough saved up or a regular steady to kind of keep yourself going.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately it's still going to be the time and effort you put into getting yourself out there and getting work and putting stuff out there, which is going to determine how much you're actually going to make getting back, or how much work
Sure,
you're actually
sure.
going to do to kind of come back. And that's kind of everywhere as well. I mean, if you're just going to sit at your house and wait for a job to call you, I mean, you might wait for quite a long time.
Right. And this may not have an answer, but is there a magic number to save up?
No,
No.
no, I would guess whatever place that you find, or just look around and see what falls into a price range that you could afford, and then I would, just to be safe, I would say save maybe 3 to 4 months of rent,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of go from there. In 3 to 4 months, hopefully you should at least be able to find something to do something. But a lot of folks, from what I hear, some folks say, "Oh, I'll give myself a year to make it," or to uh, to do something, and why give yourself that limitation of only having that amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
That's just so much pressure on you, and that may not necessarily work for everyone. Some people come here and fresh off whatever bus or something they get in, and boom, they're on TV. Other actors have been working here their whole entire lives, and still, I guess, haven't reached that plateau that somebody else might say you've made it, but they're like, hey, I'm a working actor. So
Paying my
that's all I
bills,
need to
doing
be.
what I want to do.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily want to become famous. I want to be a working actor. I want to be able to work, to be creative, get stuff out there, and still be able to have enough money coming in that occasionally I can take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Still be able to spend time with the family and have a life. Have a life outside of that as well. So I mean, if if it happens, we're rich and famous, great. But that's not the end game for me. That's not my goal. My goal is just to be a working actor, and
Is
then
that your
only
ultimate
that then.
goal? Because you have mentioned writing, having your own sitcom. I have heard you say that.
Yeah,
But what would you say the ultimate?
the
The
ultimate goal,
pie in the sky.
the pie in the sky, whatever outlet allows me to continue being creative and live a comfortable life. Whether it's acting, directing, producing, writing, all of the above, whatever allows me to still take time out to go fishing.
And you have plenty of polls, so you need to be able to do that. Um, I think we may be going a little long, so I am going to start to wrap it up.
Okay.
Um, and we've touched on a few things, but just to kind of tie it up in a nice little bow, what
Ooh,
advice do you have for anybody that's considering making the move?
do it. If it's what you want to do, if you love it, and you can put your all into it, do it. It's that plain and simple. If it's what you love to do, go after it and don't let anything stand in your way. Not saying go and kill people to get there, but just do what you need to do for yourself to accomplish your goals. Don't let don't let naysayers and things hold you down. But also understand that sometimes what you love to do may not be what you're destined to do. Again, with writing, acting, directing, all that stuff to expand on. Ultimately, when I first started, I was like, I want to be an actor. But now I'm able to write, edit, edit a little, direct a little. So I have other options instead of just being that was my first goal. But now I see there's other things that I could possibly do as well. But if you love it, go for it.
I think that pretty much says it all. I know you're acting. What can we find you in these days?
Oh, right now I'm in my bedroom.
Well, I would
um,
I would ask, well, do you have a
hmm,
camera set up in there? But I'm not sure I want to know that answer.
Just the one on the laptop. Well, and the one the
Yeah.
wife doesn't know about, but it's hidden over there in the closet. Shh.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
It's a private link. I'll send it to you later.
Okay, yeah.
um, uh, feature film, feature films. There's a horror film that should be out. I'm not sure if it's going to be out this year. Most probably next year. Called From the Dead. Uh, uh, I play one of the leads in there. Great film.
Nice.
Should be pretty good. There's oh geez, one of the again. I think they're still airing the commercial in San Diego for the power company. I did a role in there. You won't see my face, but I am a luchador bouncing up and down in the ring in there. And that was fun. It was fun to do. I was wearing a back brace and they didn't know because I threw my back out the day before going to shoot.
Oh, wow.
um, yeah, that was fun. Uh, yeah, I'm not an Iron Man. I was in briefly a couple of scenes in season 7, episode 1 of True Blood, which
Nice.
they're in season 7 right now. It just aired. Oh, jeez. Oh, there's been
I know I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
I'm not even. I don't have my resume handy to kind of go through it and read through.
Now, I want to
Um,
say I saw something online not that long ago that you were in.
oh, you mean the College Humor? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a College Humor PSA on net neutrality, so you guys can check that out. I'm
Getting a
freshly
little
shaven, and
political. I like it. I like it.
yeah, got all freshly shaved for it. I play a former FCC chairman, and there's a makeout scene in it. It's hot.
So hot.
Super hot. Make sure you go check it out. College Humor, net neutrality. Go check it out. Those guys are great, by the way. They were awesome. They were
Very
so fun
nice.
to work with.
So, we've got College Humor.
College Humor. Uh,
We've got a horror film. What's the name of it again?
from the dead.
From the Dead.
From the dead.
And potentially see you as a luchador in a San
Luchador.
Diego
Yeah. There's
power.
still some web series that are in the process. Manicosa, which was filmed all in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's still in editing. Lots of special effects coming through that. So they're still getting, and that's been a good couple of years in the editing bay. Um, there's a Call of Warfare short film and music
Yeah.
video that
That's out there on YouTube somewhere.
oh yeah, that's out there.
It might even be on my channel.
I believe it is.
Yes.
And any outtakes that he may have of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sure
jeez.
there's plenty of them.
There's lots of stuff. There's a other couple of shorts. One called Broken that I got to be a part of. It got played in Cannes this past or Cannes, however it's pronounced.
Con, I
Just
think,
this
I believe.
this last season, it aired out there. I
As
wasn't
long as
invited.
you have somewhat of an accent, it doesn't matter how you pronounce it.
I
It
mean,
just
that kid,
sounds
I'll call it Cannes,
more
man. I'll say it in that kind of
calm.
accent. I'll call it Cannes.
There
It's
you
kind of like
go.
soda can, but with two N's and an E and S.
Yeah, something like that.
Ah, jeez. Yeah, my demo reel's on YouTube. Actually,
Yeah.
that PSA is on my YouTube channel as well. That
What's your YouTube?
Foondiggy, Foondiggi, Foondiggy,
Foondiggy. All
Foondiggy.
right. And
Yeah.
so, would you
So
say
that
that would be a good place to go?
oh yeah, people want to go check it out. They can go
Yeah.
check out that, or if they want to, not have to worry about typing in youtube.com/Foondiggy, they can just go check out theactorwill.com.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, that's my own personal website, theactorwill.com, and you'll have the Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, IMDb, and my demo reel put right up there for you, so you guys can go check all that out. Actually, I'm redesigning the site too, so I haven't finished it, but it should be up probably within the next month or so.
All
I'll have
right.
all
So,
the
I have
content
something
put
to look
in.
forward to then.
Oh yeah, oh
And there
yeah.
are plenty of rather tastefully done, I must say, tastefully done headshots of Will
Yes,
to indulge in, of course. You know.
assorted Photoshop works on there as well.
Yes.
I tend to get
Depending
festive
on
during
your
the holidays.
mood, it seems.
Yeah, when when particular brand name holidays come up, I tend to get kind of festive with the Photoshop. So.
You just like to have fun, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because I'm a huge idiot. So, actually, some of the stuff that I had put on my Facebook for Mother's Day, I had Facebook some photos for Mother's Day. Someone unfriended me because they found it offensive,
Hmm.
and basically, I put my head on a pregnant woman.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, Will, I think that pretty much
Yes, Mr.
covers
Decker.
it. Mr. Leon.
That is me, Mr. Decker.
See,
Hey, I got you. I can do it like that if you need to.
yeah,
Or, or
I could do
perhaps
it
if I
too,
need
but
to, I
it
can
would
do
probably be
other.
offensive.
I did not mean to offend you by calling you Decker. It is his last name, no?
Yes,
Mm. Well, there you go. That is his last name. I say last name. What it is.
yes. Okay.
Well,
Well, thank you, Will. So I am going to end broadcast, and we
awesome.
can keep talking, but I am going to end the broadcast.
All right. Well,
So,
Toodle,
yeah.
folks. Thanks for watching. Check out
Thank you for joining us. We actually had a viewer, believe it or not. I have
Ooh.
no idea who it is, but we have someone viewing, and they've been viewing for at least the last 10 minutes.
Oh, let's plug them in, or can we?
I don't think we can, but all I have to say is if they can, please watch the whole thing
Yes.
because it was
The
so much
entire
better than the last 10 minutes.
The entire thing. It's even dubbed
Well,
in Spanish in case you need it that way.
don't count on that. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, brother.